Amnesia may be a forgettable anime to some, but it may have acted as an introduction to Otome games for some anime fans. And unlike some other unspeakable series, Amnesia wasn't as bad as people made it out to be back in the day. That is, of course, a guarantee that's coming from someone who plays way too many Otome games. Most people were either drawn into the anime from either the banger of an opening, or the character designs when it first appeared on Crunchyroll in 2013, but no one had really heard about the series or even knew what an Otome game was back then. Because of that, the series may have been misunderstood, and I'm here to answer the question a lot of people have asked about the anime over the years. Is it really that bad? Amnesia tells the tale about a nameless young woman, who is usually referred to as heroine, who suddenly forgets everything after a spirit named Orion bumps into her and merges with her soul. In order to reclaim her lost memories, she decides to keep the fact that she lost them a secret and live her life without arousing any suspicion. But of course she does in the first episode because she can't even talk, which is another feature of the actual Otome game, for some godforsaken reason. I don't even know why this is a thing, to be honest. I really hate this part. Anyway, this is the only thing the anime tells the audience, but there's actually a lot more to the story than you might think. Amnesia was originally a PSP Otome game developed and published by Idea Factory on August 11, 2011. After Western Otome game fans basically begged for a localization of the series, it came to North America 4 years later for the PS Vita on August 25, 2015. One of the biggest and most confusing aspects that differentiates the anime and the game is how the routes actually work. At the beginning of the game, Orion tells the heroine that he seemed to accidentally bump into her and essentially cause her amnesia. Since the heroine herself doesn't remember which world she originally came from, Orion urges her to pick one out of 4 worlds to venture to, all of which has a motif of playing cards: the Heart World, the Spade World, the Clover World, and the Diamond World. Each of these worlds represent a route in-game, respectively as follows: Shin, Ikki, Kent, and Toma. However, the anime doesn't have this set up at all. Instead, the heroine simply awakens in the Heart World already, which puts her in Shin's route from the beginning of the anime. And even if there are other routes, she often gets into seemingly unavoidable accidents or situations that seem to kill her and then transfer her to another world. Granted, that's a pretty slick way to show other routes, especially for a 12-episode anime adaptation of a 30-hour Otome game that tries to shove all 5 routes down your throat. In all of the respective worlds, each male lead acts as the boyfriend of that world's heroine. Each heroine also has a different personality from the other ones. For example, the heroine of the Diamond World is bubbly and a crybaby, while the heroine of the Heart World is laid back and mature. There's no such difference between the heroine and the anime, which may make some of the male lead's actions towards the heroine a bit weird and out of character. Let's dive a little bit more into each character. Each character, with the exception of Ken and Ukyo, each get at least 2 episodes that focus on their respective worlds. First, let's discuss a bit about the poster boy of the game, Shin, and the many weird-ass belts that he's wearing for some reason. Nah, but seriously, why does he have belts around his leg? Like what? Because he's the series' favorite, he receives a whopping 3.5 episodes. The beginning of the series begins with the heroine awaking after seemingly overworking herself too hard. And of course, this is 2011, so she works at a maid cafe. This traces back to how in the original game, the heroine of the Heart World is considered mature for her age. In the game, one of Shin's main complaints is how the heroine always overworks herself because of how independent she is. Because of this, he feels like she never depends on him enough. Without these details, the 4 episodes you do get with Shin feel uncomfortable, as his actions towards her are oddly forceful. And it feels rushed plot-wise as well, as the details pertaining to how he killed a man are never explained or recounted. While Shin is the only one who figures out the heroine does have amnesia, and the main point of his route is to help her reclaim her lost memories, the anime condenses many of the intimate moments they have too close together, making it come off more as if all he cares about is making her remember him, no matter what the cost. Granted, the first CG in the Otome game is creepy no matter how you cut it, as it's a forced kiss in the hospital, right after she wakes up, because of course that's what you want to do right after you wake up after being in a freaking accident. This makes Shin realize that the heroine does have amnesia, as her reaction to the kiss was odd. Even if she didn't have amnesia, I'm pretty sure this would be weird either. Am I missing something here? That, and the scene in the Heart World where he tries to forcibly make her remember how she got in an accident, might be hard to watch for some viewers. She falls off the cliff and dies, of course, because that's the only way they can change routes in this anime. Ikki would probably be the 3rd worst offender of forcing himself upon the heroine, and he's the playboy of the series. Ikki receives 2.5 episodes, and the scenes they decided to go with were interesting to say the least. The anime makes all of the male leads look bad, but I have to say it makes Ikki look considerably worse compared to the Otome game. It rushes the explanation of him having the power to make any girl who looks in his eyes fall in love with him, as well as the malicious fan club subplot, weakening some other interesting supporting characters and their connections across each world. For Ikki fans, it'd be best to just stay clear of the anime as a whole. But the worst offense is probably for Kent fans, as he only gets 1 episode. God damn it, I love him too. One of my favorite characters always get treated like shit, I swear. Actually, he doesn't even get one episode to himself because Toma appears at the end. Because who cares about a glasses boy when you can have a yandere instead? There's not much to say about Kent besides the fact that he's the only one who didn't force himself upon the heroine in the anime. However, the anime doesn't do him or his character justice, as he is interesting in his own right. But he does force you to do math in his route, so maybe that's why no one really likes him.
数式の解析にはロマンを必要とする局面もあるのだ。
Next to Shin, Toma happens to unfortunately be one of the most popular characters in the series. Just like in the Heart World, you happen to be best friends with Shin and this psychopath, who happens to be a psychopath no matter what route you pick. His true nature is hidden pretty well in the game, which makes everything a bit more exciting when you realize he's crazy no matter what you do. However, the little bit of character development that Toma does actually have is thrown away in the anime to focus on his crazy side. Granted, the anime came out when other crazy characters were reigning supreme, so it may not entirely be, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Toma's fault. That's one thing that's not his fault, and everything else is. Amnesia has an easy-to-fix problem, but it also has a unique way of tackling an Otome game adaptation. With each episode giving a minimal amount of screen time to each character, besides Ken of course, it shows that it could work as an anime if it had more episodes. But by focusing on the characters before they receive any worthwhile character development, it stunts the character's growth and impacts the story. Not to mention that the heroine doesn't even talk, which works way better in the game than it does in anime form. On a rewatch, is Amnesia really that shitty? Surprisingly not. But is it great? No. Because really, who can ever hate that opening? Really, it's amazing. Okay, but seriously though. All in all, it's average, pretty ambitious, and a bit entertaining when you don't think too much about whatever's happening. And if you ever want to know the full story, my suggestion is simple. Just play the game. It's on sale all the time anyway, so go out there and buy it. This is not an ad. Hello everybody, it's been a while, but I've been good. How about you? I recently found an editor to edit these videos, so I'm very happy, and that means that I will have more videos coming out. So yay, pachi pachi pachi. First thanks goes to the person who edited this video, and the second thanks goes to you, the viewers. So make sure to like, subscribe, all that other shiz they force you to say, and I will see you later. Bye bye!